Hey everybody, this is Grace, and in this video I woke up this morning thinking about those of us who grew up in like dysfunctional families or environments or have been around a lot of let's just say toxic people. These days a lot of people just call them narcissistic people, and or histrionic, any cluster B, any abusive type, and they basically made everything about them. Okay, everything. And if you had an interesting idea, they made it about them. That somehow they adopted it as their own or something. But not like I have in the past spoken about this topic. But this one is more about when you start to, or you have moments when you start thinking about yourself. What are your likes? What are your dislikes? What's special about you? Okay, some people will say if you're looking for something special about you, that's not a good thing. But no, I don't want to do a whole video on that. It just depends. It depends on that and other characters, other character traits. But in this one, I woke up, like I said, I woke up this morning, and what I had on my mind is something that has I've questioned about myself over years. And it's like, hello, get a clue. Yeah. But, and I still find it a little bit hard to believe that it's something that I like. Okay. Now, I'm not going down the dissociation route here. Well, you never know. But it is something that I still, like I said, it makes me curious. So let me get to this. I want to try to pause this here. Okay. So maybe I should start here. When I was young, I've mentioned before in a video that my dog's making noises over here. When I was a child, well, I was raised by both parents in the same house, and my 4 siblings and we all lived in the same house. And my mother, she basically was a conspiracy theorist. She was into everything, like conspiracy theories. People think that this just started, really. But no, it didn't. I'm 56, so yeah, when I was a child. And she was also into, everything like paranormal, aliens, and so forth. Now, some of the things I remember was that it was called, what was it called? Barnabas Collins? What was the name of that show? Is that even the name? But yeah, it's a long time ago. But she and I would listen to it on the radio. She'd get me in there because it frightened her to listen to it on the radio, okay? And so she wanted me with her. And I was a kid, okay? But that wasn't it. Now my dad would be in the other part of the house watching TV. But she wanted, that's what she wanted. And me, she had postpartum depression after she had me, and she never really warmed up to me ever in her whole life, never. And so to me as a kid, that was my mommy and me time, even though it scared me, okay? Plus, she'd have me go outside with her out in the backyard, dark, pitch dark at night, to look for aliens. Okay, I was a kid. I'm talking really young kid, but I have memories of it. And it scared me, but it scared her, so she had me go with her. Yeah. Wow, my mother was, oh, here goes my dog. My mother was more of a, like a shut-in. I think she experienced agoraphobia. Really, I think that's what it was. Okay, so I had to go outside to finish this video. The dog, he does that every once in a while, and he won't stop for a while. So, yeah, we've don't worry, we've checked it out with the vet. We know what's going on. So, anyway, so let me get back to my notes here. Okay, I was talking about when I was a kid. Now, my mom was a conspiracy theorist. She believed that man didn't walk on the moon. She believed in Watergate was just a hoax kind of thing. And yeah, like, I keep saying that I know this type of person, these type of people. I grew up around it. So, in a family with it, and in an environment of people who see certain things as hoaxes. And yeah. But, anyway, pardon if you hear all this noise behind it, but going on. So, I think I was probably, like, it could have been earlier that earlier than when I was like in school, that she had me do these things. But I do remember I was old enough at some point, like going outside and checking for aliens and looking in the sky to see if we could find any. Yeah, that started pretty young. And like I said, that kind of thing scared me. And it scared her too, but that's what she liked to do. Well, as you can pretty much guess where I'm going with this, as an adult, I have found myself doing things that scare me, watching things or doing things even that scare me, but I do them anyway. Okay, because it's kind of an interest of mine, and yet, like I was saying earlier, I'm shocked and surprised that it's an interest of mine. Okay, so now to go back a little. That was in my childhood. Now, when I was in the first grade, I'm pretty sure it was first grade, I was one of these advanced readers. I guess that's what they called them back then. That comes to mind. And I remember my mom was called into the school. My mom was always being called into school because of me. But not bad reasons, not always. But she was told when I was in first grade, when she was called in kindergarten for a different reason, but first grade, that I was I was a quick learner, and that I'd get bored and walk around the classroom, and it would be disruptive to other kids in the classroom. Now, we all know what they would have slapped me with back then, now, these days. But the teacher said she wanted me to become her little assistant. My mom agreed. That's why my mom was called in. My mom agreed. But the thing was, one of the things is that they had these little, what were they called, SR or something, little readers for kids. And I was advanced, and that's when I learned I was advanced reading. And but we'd go to the library like kids do. And I would always, instead of looking at books in the first grade section, I would get books up to the fifth grade. Fifth grade was the highest in our elementary school. But I remember trying to read Little Women, and I was like, no, maybe this is too much for me. But my thing was reading mythology. Yeah. And I can remember even then, that young, first grade, saying, why am I liking this? Why do I like this? I'd love to read it, but I would think it's kind of scary to me. Story of my life, huh? Also, I remember thinking that I didn't want to get in trouble with the librarian. Now, remember, I was in first grade. That I didn't want to get in trouble with the librarian because I was getting these books that were for children that were more, older grades. But she never said anything. She just would even ask me about the books. But I was, it was kind of like I did it where nobody would notice. It was my dirty little secret at that age, first grade. Yeah. And that kind of thing has continued on in my life. Not so much as a dirty little secret, because who am I going to fear? That they might say something about what I do. But I really don't tell people. And like I keep saying, in my own mind, I'm like, do I really? What is this all about? But basically, from there, I think, let's see, where did it go from there? I'm looking at my notes here. I guess fast forward to when I was, I think, in my 20s. I was one of those people that started, I had my first computer in 1982. And when I was in my 20s, I was one of the people that would link their computers together to other computers. This was before the World Wide Web as we know it. And so I was one of those, and I would write on one of theirs. It had a, what do they call them? Storyboards, I think. And I would write sci-fi fiction stories. Yeah. And back then it just shocked me, where did this come from? That's not something I was all that interested in or whatever, but I would write sci-fi fiction. And then at some point, later on, years later, me and my boyfriend at the time, he passed away years ago, but we would watch Sci-Fi Channel. I guess it was even called Sci-Fi Channel back then. And I would watch with him some show. It had Generation in it. X Generation or I don't know. It wasn't meaning what it would mean now, or even then. But also Stargate, and he liked Stargate, so I watched it with him. And I'm like, ooh, I don't really like these shows, this type of show. And I mean, that just continued, and I would question myself. But the thing about it is, the people I was around all those years, everything that was, that I liked, I kept it from them because they didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to know that I actually liked something. It was all about them. I even liked dreams. I liked to try to interpret my dreams when I was a child. No, you couldn't do that. They would, make fun of it or whatever, put it down, or just didn't want to hear it because it wasn't about them, I don't know how many of you know how that goes. If it's not about them, I have experienced that. Not about them, it doesn't matter. That's all that matters is what they like. And yeah, I was around so many of those. And then recently, like I said, I woke up this morning thinking about this, and the shows that I watch these days, I'm well aware that by now that I really like them. It has this thing of why. Well, hello, there's the past, but the shows I like now are like on the CW. Here in the United States, I don't know if anybody else gets it, but the CW shows like Supergirl. Yeah, I'm a Supergirl fan. Riverdale, and I don't want to spoil it if you don't know what the Riverdale is about, but yeah, it's a good show. Okay, I had to turn it off. Allergies. When I walked out the front door, a bee buzzed around. So, and my plants are starting to. It's spring. Anyway, so where was I? I was talking about the shows I like now on the CW. Not all of them, like Supergirl, Riverdale, and Roswell, New Mexico, the new one. I really like that show. About aliens, yeah. And all these are about aliens, except for Riverdale. And then there's something sci-fi, something like that. Then on other ones, I don't know. There might be one of them. Every once in a while, I'll watch different ones on the CW. Just especially when they do them when like different shows all combined together. One of those. And then there's also on other channel. I don't know what channel. I better not say so much certain, but Emergence and Manifest. Those are the kinds of shows I like. But the whole thing, wait, let me remember this. Oh, Hulu, that Handmaid's Tale, I read the book many years ago, but I can't watch that. And that's the part where I'm getting to. All of these things kind of creep me out. Seriously. It just isn't, it's not normal, so it kind of creeps me out. Any of these kind of shows, what's going on in them. Now, I even watched the Sci-Fi Channel. I can't remember the name of that one, and I really liked it. It's no longer. But, even shows like, oh my goodness, I watch those kinds. And that's why I question myself. Why? Because they creep me out at the same time. Well, yeah, things go back to your childhood, what you associate with. They don't always, but yeah, for me with my mom, that was me and mommy, it was me and mommy time. And even though all that stuff creeped me out, it was associated with a good experience of me and mommy. She suffered from postpartum depression. She never really warmed up to me, except during those times. So that is why I think, I've grown used to these kinds of shows and stuff. And so there is some interest there, but it still creeps me out. But yeah, it was associated with good memories. So now that's also not the only genre that I really liked since childhood. And these days not so much, but actually maybe. And that is because it is associated, again, with something with me and my mother, and that's romance novels. Okay? Seriously, yesterday I woke up, or at some point yesterday, I was thinking of I did make some notes about things I want to talk about, romance novels from the past and present. That's more attached to narcissism, okay, and abuse. And like I've said before recently, I'm trying to make different kinds of videos for this channel, not stick to the same thing. It's kind of, I've been saying that for years, so I'm doing it. But anyway, but about romance novels, and that was also attached, like I just said, to good memories with my mother. My mother was not a bad person, really. She was and she wasn't. She was neglectful, but she also suffered from agoraphobia. And I had two when I was 28 and 33, so I can relate to it in some ways. But, and the help that for people who suffered from like postpartum depression and all that, and agoraphobia, that wasn't that common back then. So, you know, in a way I can forgive her for what she did. Yeah. So I'm at that point in my recovery, I should say. Yeah. Anyway, the romance novel part to it, I'll probably mention it in the next video that I make about, when I finally make a video about that, is that when I was young, it was her dirty little secret, okay, is that she also liked romance novels. And I don't know where I picked up one when I was a young child, and these were these kind of innocent harlequin romances. The innocent was back then. I don't know if they were, I would say that so much now. I don't read them, so I don't know. So I don't read them now, but I remember, I don't know how many years ago I did, and I was shocked by how it had changed since I was young, you know, living at my parents' house. And anyway, she would basically, I would buy them with whatever money I could come, you know, to get, that I would find, or not find, but, you know, like, what is it called? I don't even remember what it's called now. But little money that I had for whatever I saved somehow. And I would buy them, and she would sneak in there and get them and read them. She'd read them so fast, you know, like within a day. So she could put it back, and, you know, I would know that she had done that. And, you know, every once in a while, you know, as I got older, she would ask me, do you have any new ones? Do you have any new ones? That was her dirty little secret. She kept all these things from my dad. I think maybe he knew about them. You know, I've mentioned that my dad was the narcissistic one. Yeah. And she kept them. She would hide so much of herself, okay, about herself. But I would know. You know, I don't know if any of my other siblings knew, but I did. You know, these things about her. So, let's see. Anyway, I think that's all we're going to talk about on this. I'm looking at my notes again. Nope. I think that's all for this video. Yeah. Like I said, I didn't get to finish it. I wanted to start doing more of my videos on camera, but, well, dealing with my old dog Marmaduke, it's not that easy. Anyway, I'll go ahead and wrap this one up. I'll talk to you on another video. If you have any comments, you feel free of sharing. Leave them in the comment section below. Talk to you on another video.